All right, let's jump right in. We have all seen this happen, right? A single sentence gets yanked out of an article, a speech, maybe even a text message, and suddenly it means something totally different. Today, we're going to dig into this whole idea using one of the most quoted and, yeah, misquoted books in history as our guide to understanding the incredible power of context. So let's start with a really big one. You've probably heard this 1,000 times, maybe even said it yourself. It's a phrase that sounds like it's flat out condemning wealth, period. But is that what was actually being said? Whoa! See the difference a few words can make? It's huge! On the left, you've got the common misquote, but over on the right, you see the actual verse, and it adds that critical little phrase, for the love of money. That tiny change flips the entire meaning. The focus isn't money being evil, it's the obsession with it, the greed that's a source of all kinds of problems. And look, this isn't just some harmless little mix-up. As our source material points out, taking words out of context is a seriously dangerous game. It lets us twist an author's words to fit whatever we want them to say, and that can have some pretty major consequences. This warning, written almost 2,000 years ago, shows this is not a new problem at all. The author here raises the stakes, like, way up. He connects distorting the text not just to a misunderstanding, but to their own destruction. I mean, wow, that's how critical getting the meaning right was to them. So the problem really boils down to two main dangers. First, you can basically hijack the text and force it to back up your own ideas, whether they were the author's or not. And second, which is just as bad, you completely miss out on what the author was trying to say in the first place. You miss the whole point. So how do we avoid these traps? Well, there's a master key, a single powerful concept that unlocks everything: context. It's the framework that gives words their real meaning. So, what exactly is literary context? It sounds a little academic, right? But it's actually super simple. It's the idea that no sentence just floats in a vacuum. Words only make sense in the sentence they're in, and sentences only make sense when you look at the ones that come right before and right after. Everything's connected. Now, to make this really practical, the source material gives us this fantastic tool. I want you to think of it as 4 circles of context, kind of like ripples in a pond, moving from what's closest to what's farther away. It helps us zero in on what an author was really trying to say. Here they are. We start with the sentences that are right next door. Then we zoom out to the entire book. Then we look at other stuff by the same author. And finally, we zoom all the way out to see how the whole collection of writings talks about the same topic. Let's break that down real quick. First, and honestly, this is the most important one, is circle 1, the immediate verses. You've got to ask, what did they say right before this? And what did they say right after? This is always your first and best clue. It's ground zero. For circle 2, you pull the camera back. You're looking at the whole book or the whole article. What's the overall point, the big picture? Is it a letter? Is it a history book? A poem? The purpose of the whole document shapes the meaning of every little piece inside it. Circle 3 is where you start to play detective. You look at the author's other work. Do they have a certain style? Are there big ideas they keep coming back to over and over? Looking at everything they wrote helps you build a much clearer picture of what they were all about. And finally, circle 4. This is the 30,000-foot view. You ask, how do other parts of this entire collection talk about this same topic? This keeps you from building a massive idea on top of one single isolated verse that might not mean what you think it means. Okay, theory is great, but let's take this framework for a test drive. Let's see how it works in the real world with another famous verse that often gets treated like a spiritual blank check. Ah, here it is, Philippians 4:19. I mean, this one sounds amazing, doesn't it? It feels like a universal, unconditional promise. Whatever you need, God will provide it. It's incredibly comforting, and you hear it all the time, just like this, all by itself. But now that we have our context tool, we have to ask the question, is that really what the author intended? Is this a blanket promise for any person in any situation no matter what? Let's apply circle 1 and see what happens. And boom, this is a total game changer. Just look at the sentence right before it. The author, Paul, is thanking a specific church for sending him money to support his work. He literally says he's been supplied by the gifts they sent. Then he says, and my God will meet all your needs. So here's the crucial point. This promise isn't just floating out there in space. It is directly tied to a specific action from a specific group of people. He's saying, hey, because you gave generously to support God's work, God is going to take care of your needs in return. The context shows there's a condition. It changes everything.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting for Bible study, but what does this have to do with me? Well, it turns out this skill, the skill of finding the context, is one of the most important critical thinking skills you can possibly have.
This quote from the source just nails it. Looking for context is really just about asking one simple question over and over and over. What's the point? What was the author trying to do with these words right here in this spot?
And this applies to literally everything. Misread the context of a legal contract, that can cost you a fortune. Take a news headline at face value without reading the article, you could be completely misinformed. And come on, we have all misunderstood a friend's text because we didn't have the full story, right? This skill is absolutely essential for navigating the world.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about all the information you take in every single day, from the news, social media, emails from your boss, whatever. What might you be reading out of context? And what incredible new meanings could you unlock just by stopping to ask, wait, what's the point here?